right now because the minority is asking the IMF to cease disbursing the extended credit facility until Parliament has the chance to approve it. Now, addressing the media, a spokesperson on finance, Dr. Anthony Akutose, said the disbursement is a violation of the Constitution and asked for recall of members so that they can approve the loan.
After protracted negotiations, the IMF Executive Board on April 3, 2015, approved a 3-year extended credit facility arrangement. With approval, you recall, the IMF released an amount of SDR 83.025 million, equivalent to about $116.6 million.
Dr. Anthony Akutose also added government had clearly violated Article 181 clauses 3, 4 and 6 of the Constitution and should immediately call on the Speaker to cause Parliament to be recalled to approve of the IMF ECF loan. The minority said if by end of September members are not recalled, they would consider other options which include going to the Supreme Court. It also called on the IMF to cease the disbursements of the loan until government does the right thing. MP for Efutu Alexander Afenyo-Markin expressed surprise at the conduct of the IMF.
We are surprised that the IMF, with all its experience in the surveillance of its program, will condone such an egregious act of the government of Ghana. We recall that in the case of the bailout program for Greece, the IMF insisted that the Greek parliament should approve of the framework for the bailout condition even after the people of Greece had rejected those conditions in a referendum held singularly for that purpose. We do not want to believe that the IMF uses different rules for different countries.
Reacting to questions why the minority was raising such concerns, because in 2003, under the Kufuor administration, such loans were contracted and used without parliamentary approval, the minority agreed they erred at the time, adding no one even drew their attention to it. They stressed the anomaly must be corrected now.
Welcome back, and quickly let me speak to the chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, James Veji Kluche. He is far away in London. Let me quickly reach him before I get to my guys in the studio. Mr. Kluche, grateful for your time tonight. Now, the minority is asking that you have to come back to Parliament and get the House to approve of this IMF extended credit facility because it contravenes the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. First of all, let me get your reaction.
Thank you very much. Good evening to your listeners. Well, my initial reaction is this, that why is the minority waited for almost 9 months for them to come out with this? Before the Minister of Finance went to the IMF, or the government went to the IMF, the proposal was actually brought to Parliament, and the Minister of Finance presented this statement on the floor of the House about the measures that the government is taking to address the situation and the effort that is being made with the fund to have a program with the fund. Now, I think that the concern for NPP is that what they expected, that this government will not be able to fulfill the conditions under the program. For that matter, the IMF will not be able to provide this funding for the government. They are disappointed because the government is doing well. The IMF is able to clear government on 2 consecutive assessments that they have done, and government has performed creditably well, and therefore they are worried that the fund is something that is coming to help this government. Now, I'm asking this because, one, this is not a normal loan facility that's usually approved under Article 1813 that they quoted, for which no conditions is attached, for which if you're not able to fulfill those conditions or achieve those targets, you'll not be given the facility. This is a program which is an extended facility of the IMF, which is contingent upon the performance of the economy And that is why the IMF from time to time comes to review the performance of the government to see whether government is actually fulfilling or meeting those targets. It is upon the meeting of those targets, upon the performance, that the IMF will release funds. Now they are realizing that because government is doing well, they want to bring up the issue about whether this should come to Parliament or it should not come to Parliament. In my view, I think that if this comes to Parliament and we approve of it, and then the government is not able to perform or meet the targets, what will become of the facility? If government perform in the first assessment and a portion of the facility is released to government, and the second and subsequent assessment, government fail, what does become of the facility? The total amount that Parliament has approved. So they should not actually look at this extended facility under Article 1813. They should look at it as a facility which is extended facility which is contingent upon the performance of the government before funds are released by the International Monetary Fund. That is my assessment. I think that they are worried, and I think that they are being too quiet, and there's a pressure on them from their party that do something, and that they want to just bring this. So I also reject the call for Parliament to recall members. But this would be a total waste of public funds, because it's very expensive to recall Parliament, and for that matter, this is not an issue that Parliament should be recalled for taxpayers' money to be spent for nothing just to come and approve this facility.
Okay. Hold the line for me. I have Mr. Afenyomakin, Alexander Afenyomakin in the studio. He's a member of the minority. I'm sure you know him. So, Mr. Afenyomakin, thanks so much for responding to our call to have you in our studios. Now, the majority is saying that. Don't look at it as a simple thing under Article 181, because it is totally different from the kind of loans that you contract and Parliament would have to approve of it.
Well, I don't know how else they expect us to look at this agreement, extended credit facility. If a constitutional provision is very clear on a particular matter, it is not about trying to look for some secondary meaning. First of all, they argued that all along, no government ever came to Parliament with an IMF program.
You didn't do that under...
No. I'm saying that...
President Kufuor's administration.
What I'm saying is that that has been their argument. Just this evening, he is now shifting.
Is it an argument or as a fact?
No. I'm saying that they argue as part of their justification for not coming to Parliament that previous government never came to Parliament. I would not want to argue them on that, because it's a matter of fact.
But okay, right.
It's a matter of fact.
You accept it's a fact that
it's a matter of fact.
Under President Kufuor, you didn't do that.
Of course, but the fact.
But you didn't lose anything as a country. You didn't lose anything because you didn't do the right thing.
You see, if you pick the argument from that angle, you may misconstrue same. You see, until Mr. Martin Amidu took certain matters to the Supreme Court, we had always had a view that international commercial agreement needed not to come to Parliament until the Supreme Court pronounced on this matter in the water bill and so forth. So, you see, we learn, okay, this democracy is just 22 years. There are a lot of things that have not been explored, that have not been considered. Therefore, if yesterday something was wrong in the Rawlings government, in the Kufuor administration, and it didn't come to Parliament, it doesn't mean that today, okay, Dr. Apak took the Electoral Commission to court in 2010 on this matter of demarcation of electoral areas and the elections and all that the whole conduct was unconstitutional. Dr. Apak did not succeed. But in Benjamin E. Mesa, the Supreme Court held in his favor. So you're saying, the issue is not about... It's a deviation. The angle they are coming from, with respect, the angle they are coming from is totally misconceived.
So we cannot look at this facility. Is that what you're saying, that we cannot ignore Article 1?
No, it's a credit facility. Even for grants,
so we cannot ignore it.
Even grants are brought to Parliament for approval. I'm saying that what other secondary meaning is with the greater, is Mr. Aveji looking at?
Mr. Afiyama, can answer my question.
Yes.
You're suggesting that the ECF, the IMF ECF, we cannot ignore Article 181(3).
That is our argument. It's a loan which is supposed to be repaid.
So we cannot ignore it. Why have you then waited for 9 months before you're flagging the red flag?
Good question. In this game of politics, you engage informally or unofficially until such a time that you get to a point and realize that, look, the other party is either being adamant or totally ignoring your concerns. He knows, and I don't want
9 months is almost 1 year.
No,
if
he talks about 9 months,
supported the ruling government in an illegality. 9 months. The minority supported the ruling government in an illegality. 9 months.
It is not 9 months. The IMF.
You heard Mr. Aveji say 9 months.
Well, that is his argument. But I'm here to rebut him. So allow me to rebut.
Go ahead.
For the past 5 months, we have tried to informally talk to our friends on the other side. At least the Minister of Finance knows that even a month ago, I personally drew his attention.
Mr. Aveji can attest to what you've just said.
Oh well, but my engagement with the
majority,
my engagement or the engagement of the minority with the finance minister, and when the IMF team visited and met the finance committee, he is aware that our ranking member, Dr. Kotose, raised this matter.
Okay, hold on.
To the minority,
I'll get to the
this matter must come
Mr.
to
Aveji,
Parliament.
I'm grateful you're listening. Now, the minority is suggesting that this issue was flagged some time ago, and that what they were doing was to engage in a way to see how it could be resolved. But you are suggesting that they have waited for 9 months before raising the issue.
Yeah, I think that if they think that in the past or 5 months ago they decided to go the way they went, as he claims, that they were doing it informally. What has become necessary for them now to do it formally?
Because perhaps the majority or government isn't listening.
I don't think that is the case. In fact, when I read their test, their press statement, they said that the IMF should stop giving out money to government. And if IMF didn't do that after 1 month, they go to court. I urge them to go to court straightforward. Why are they giving conditions to IMF for do that? Now he has accepted and agreed that in the past they did not do it. Now I am telling you that for this particular one, it's an extended credit facility, which is contingent upon meeting some targets. If you don't meet those targets, you will not get it. That is why the IMF is on government all the time, coming to review the economic targets that have been set under the facility. So they cannot look to this particular facility under Article 1813. This is the point I'm making. And he is a lawyer. He should read it and understand that we're not supposed to come to Parliament if this facility in the previous time they did not even come to Parliament. Let's forget about that. But I'm saying that if this facility is incumbent on meeting some target before the funds can be disbursed, it is not something that can come under Article 1813 as they claim. Okay. That is the point I'm making.
That is the point you're making. All right. Let me please stay on the line. Let me go back to Mr. Afinyo. So you heard him.
You know, it's my very senior aware that for every loan there are conditions attached to same. The CDB loan, for instance, government lost so much money because government could not meet certain pre-disbursement conditions. You see, you can't put something on nothing. You can't pick a secondary issue and ignore the primary issue. We contend that the IMF extended credit facility is a loan, which they agree. Government's failure in putting in place fiscal measures to arrest some of these economic challenges we face resulted in going to the IMF for technical support and for this bailout. Our argument is that this money is not free money. This money is supposed to be disbursed into the consolidated fund. This money is supposed to support your budget deficit so that you can balance off and run your economy. You are required to repay. Now, the issue of conditions, he argues that, look, government is supposed to limit, put a freeze on employment. Government is supposed to spend within a certain range. Government is not supposed to increase wages and salary up to a certain. There are ceilings here and there. Now, these are conditions. I agree. But you cannot say that because these are policy-related conditions, same cannot be construed within the meaning of Article 1813. Now, yes, the debate can go on and on and on. I have been on the phone severally with the finance minister, my boss, the ranking member, over this matter.
They didn't listen to you because they felt no reason to come to Parliament. That's why they didn't listen to you.
They have not provided.
You didn't get the impression that they don't want to go because, I mean, there's no reason for them to go.
Apart from
interacting with them.
Apart from their argument that previous government never came to Parliament, they've not given me some other compelling reasons to enable me change my position.
Mr. Veji just said it's not a normal loan.
So what is it?
He said it's a loan that you have to satisfy certain conditions before you get it. And so
does it make government of Ghana liable? Is government of Ghana obliged to repay? Is there an obligation on government of Ghana? Is it a cost to government? Is it binding on government? If so, why would government say that, yes, we are giving it a certain meaning, therefore we will not bring it to Parliament? Only executive approval or cabinet approval of same is necessary. Well, we do not want to be seen to be hoodwinking government. We do not want to be seen to be frustrating efforts of government. Although we had our own issues with government opting to go for the IMF bailout in the first place, we have given the options. We don't want to be seen to be rushing to court on the least excuse. That is why we believe procedurally we should approach this matter in a manner that the Ghanaian people will appreciate our effort as a minority. Therefore, they will have the opportunity. We are drawing their attention to at least recall, make a case for a recall. And on the issue of recall, it brought in a matter of cost. Last year, we were on recess. Only one item agenda, the Kaswa interchange, when they were going for a loan. They recalled us. Even at the time, we had a construction going on in the chamber. We sat at the conference center. So what is this argument of...
But you think it was not key? They should recall, I mean, the traffic there around Kaswa, and when you're going to win it back, what you have to go through?
No, you've not gotten my point. I'm saying that Parliament was recalled on a one-item agenda to approve the facility.
It was a key
don't
issue.
worry. I'm making...
You know the traffic around
Kaswa. You are diverting the issue. I'm saying that Parliament was recalled to consider the Kaswa loan. Similarly, Parliament can be recalled to consider this very important facility. How many people in government have cited the IMF document?
Let me wrap up with Mr. Veji. I'll come back to Mr. Veji. Quickly, let's wrap up and let me leave you. So you are urging them to go to court. They're thinking that they've given you enough room between now and the end of September to quickly look back at what you have done, recall Parliament, and then perhaps, what, according to them, do the right thing.
My position is that let's not just waste public funds by calling Parliament to come and look at this facility alone. If the point that he's raising is something to go by, that definitely this facility needs to come to Parliament, then we should even wait if Parliament resumes, we'll look at it. But to recall Parliament, just for us to come and sit down and approve this facility, I think it's a waste of public funds. It's a waste of taxpayers' money, and it's something that we should not allow.
I'm grateful. James Klucha-Veji is the chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee. He spoke to us from London. Mr. Fino,
it appears that my chairman doesn't seem to have a point. Okay, he doesn't have a strong point that he's standing on. In one breath, it doesn't need parliamentary approval. We should go to court. In another breath, he argues that recalling Parliament will be a waste of public funds. So, if for anything at all, we should wait. Which is which?
Well, like you said, you did not rush to court because you wanted to engage. Perhaps it's also offering some leeway for the two of you to engage each other.
Well, that wouldn't be bad. But then he should come to the center and agree that this is a loan and it ought to be approved. You see, let me make this point. Often people forget that Parliament is made up of the people's representatives. If we are talking about democratic accountability, transparency, good governance, there in that chamber is where all the representatives of the people converge to debate, to scrutinize in accordance with their mandate as enshrined in the Constitution. What is wrong with the people's representatives debating on this matter, scrutinizing it, and offering their own views to aid government in ensuring good governance? Do we know what happened in Greece? Even in Greece, the matter was put to a referendum. Why is it that when it gets to us, sometimes government wants to do things?
They have a different constitution.
Then, of course, but their constitution requires that such facilities must be considered by the people's representatives.
If you engage government for close to 9 months or 5 months and they didn't listen to you, now today is about the 8th of September. You've given government up to the end of the month. How sure are you that now they're going to listen?
Well, you see, this is the first time the matter has come.
Prepare your documents to go.
Don't worry, preparing document to court is not too difficult a thing to do.
Okay.
But you see,
From where you're sitting,
for the purpose of politics, you would want to engage the other party. Okay, we engage each other on almost over 90% of issues. Nobody hears of such things. By consensus, we approve because we know that government must run. We know that we would come to power one day. Okay. Therefore, we should be constructive. We should be rational. We should be reasonable. That is why we always try to informally draw the attention of government on some of these things. You know, today, when we review the IMF document, they are looking at giving us a ceiling of up to 2.5 billion to make non-concessional borrowing. Do you know that the $350 million that GMPC is procuring to support its activities, of which government argues strongly that GMPC was borrowing on its own cash balance sheet, is part of the liability and the public. Of course, right. Government argued that was not part of government liability. But today, if you look at the IMF document, which is a public document, that 350 million is part of the 2.5 billion ceiling being given to government.
The court took a decision. I guess you accept the court's decision.
No, you see, I'm trying to. Even if the court took a position at the preliminary stages, okay, of the case, whether or not to grant injunction and all that. But I'm saying that today, the reality is that the government has added it to its debt, and that IMF has considered same as part of the ceiling being given to government, okay, under the non-concessional facility. So, wherein lie the earlier argument that GMPC going to borrow is doing same on its own cash flow.
I'm sure we'll have to end here.
I believe that we're making an argument in good faith. We want to support government, although we have our own concerns that is as a result of the abuse of resources that has led to going to the IMF. But be that as it may, let the people's representatives. I don't think ministers of state have even seen this IMF document. I don't think if you call any minister to really
you're making allegations that I'm sure you
not an allegation. It's a matter of fact because we don't know. I don't know.
Great.
Parliament has not had the opportunity.
That's the point
of even arguing this. And the constitution requires him to be done.
Grateful. Mr. Afenyo-Markin, thanks so much for joining us. He's a member of the minority in Parliament talking about the ECF that they want government to bring it back to Parliament for it to be approved. When we come back on deck, we'll speak to you about the NPP's issue and Sir John, Mr. Puyo joining us in the studio. Stay there for 10 in shortly.